Hello, everybody. Welcome to an episode of In My Opinion. My name is John.
My name is Lester.
Yes, and we are back once again with our weekly show. And today we're going to be talking about something that is because National Day just passed. So
Yes.
we suddenly got drinks bring back all the memories, and the memories bring back you. So today
Yes.
we're going to be talking about something that a lot of Singaporeans have a lot of opinions about.
Correct. I mean, okay.
So what is it, Alistair?
I mean, we're going to talk about NS because assuming that half the population is male, pretty much every one of the males have gone through NS and have their own opinions about NS. It is a common experience, and we all have very, very strong thoughts about it because it's a very controversial topic. So we do want to talk a little bit about whether NS should be abolished, and if not, what are some of the ways that we suggest we can solve some of the problems that come with NS? And there are plenty of problems, and I have it in my notes right here.
Yes.
So before we start, why don't we give a little bit of an introduction about what we did during NS? John, you can start.
Okay. For me, I was MTO, which is a motor transport officer. So after my BMT, I went to OCS, and then after OCS, I went to 1st Transport Battalion, and I was tasked. Basically, MTO is like a platoon commander role or PC role. So when you hear guys say they are PC or whatever, right? It means platoon commander.
Yeah.
So it's like a junior officer role, and that was my time during NS. And now, reservist, I resume my role as a battalion liaison officer. And that one is something that I do. Basically, I'm like a link-up man between my battalion and the bigger division. Yes.
So for me, I am my NS life is a bit complicated. Basically, I went to SCS, which is Specialist Cadet School. I think I forgot already. It's been a while, but I went to SCS. I passed out as a armor infantry sergeant. So I went to 41 SAR, and I was in a unit. I was in a company, and I was supposed to be a section commander as a sergeant.
Yeah.
But then after that, I went through my whole thing with anxiety, went through my whole mental health problem, and then because of that, I down passed, and then I went to HQ 3rd Division, where I was basically the guy helping out my G1. So G1 is basically the guy in charge of manpower for the division. So that was my NS life, and after that, OR'd, and so far haven't got called back yet, but I think it should be soon.
Faster call him.
Haven't got called back yet, but I'm very sure it's going to come soon. But yes, that's my NS life. So my NS life has been a little bit complicated, and I think that's why I feel there's a lot to improve in the NS system.
Yeah.
But why don't we start with the biggest topic or biggest question first, which is, should NS be abolished? And I think John has very strong opinions about this. So John, abolish or...
I do. So I mean, I'm quite lucky because for me, right, personally, having gone to OCS, right, and having heard some of the things that my commanding officers have told me, right, I think NS should absolutely not be abolished.
Okay.
Absolutely not. Okay. The thing about it is that one of the things that NS serves to do for Singapore, right, is that it provides us with our national security that we all enjoy. The fact that we can all be sitting here doing podcasts and then you're all watching podcasts, is as a result of a number of things, and one of these is national security. Right?
Yeah.
And the mere fact that having an armed force, a conscript army that is trained, serves as a deterrence. And deterrence is part of security. And just for that reason alone, right?
Yes.
We cannot abolish NS.
Okay. Do you feel like, I think most people who are detractors of NS, who wants it abolished / shortened, right, are the people who are men for some reason, or as sergeants like I am, and they do you feel like it's because because they are lower to the ground, they see a lot more issues and they see a lot more um problems with the system as you do, as compared to you, because like you are, I guess, higher up in the system.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Because honestly speaking, right, I also acknowledge that NS is full of problems. And to be honest, organizationally, right, the SAF within my time as an NSF especially,
Yeah.
right, I can tell that the management that is rank based and whatever inefficiencies, right, it's just a damn jialat administrative damn jialat place.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Right.
Yes.
It's an organization that you do not want to be a part of as a employee,
Okay.
as compared, like, even though you know you're serving this larger overarching purpose. So for me, right, NS was super important to me, but the behaviors and the people within the organization was making that understanding difficult. And that's why
Okay.
some people see it as such, right? And then their decision is that, like, oh, NS is problematic, we should abolish, we should shorten, right? Without considering that what's the one reason that it must exist. So I think what we should tackle here, instead of trying to make NS disappear or to make NS less painful or to make NS shorter, right, is simply how to improve NS, because it's something that we all have to accept that we must have.
Okay.
As a small country like ours, okay, we absolutely cannot give up national security.
Okay.
Because the last time we did that,
we got screwed over.
We asked someone for help instead of having our own conscript army. We got invaded.
And we got screwed over very badly by not having our own army. I did go and watch this video by Set Coffee, which I will link in the description box below. Basically, it's talking about rethinking about NS and rethinking whether we truly need it, or rethinking at least having a bit more flexibility when it comes to the conscription. And he did raise the point of like, I mean, it's I won't say baseless accusation, but it's like basically there's a sentiment that NS is the only only reason why the government is still keeping NS now during peacetime is also partially to like make sure that Singaporean guys like me and you maintain patriotic to the country and maintain loyal to the country. And it's like in a way a form of brainwash.
I don't think that's the motivation for having NS, even though, right, NS might result in patriotism.
Okay.
Right? But like I mentioned, right, being patriotic to your country, right, does not necessarily always end with brainwashing. There's a very clear difference.
Okay.
If you're patriotic to your country and your government is screwed up, you will do what it takes to save your country, even if it means undermining said government. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
So having NS teach you to be patriotic is very different from the government using patriotism as an agenda to push NS. You know?
Okay. I get what I mean.
Yeah. So I think like it's a little bit seditious and a little bit unnecessary what they were trying to imply.
Okay.
But at the essence of it, for me, that I only needed one explanation on why I needed to serve NS.
Yeah.
And the explanation I give you already. The mere fact that we must be able to defend ourselves. And this system cannot fail. Right?
Yes.
It's like having an alarm system in your house. Right? You don't want to wait for the burglars to break in, then you install. In fact, burglars break in before, that's why we install. We don't want the burglars to break in again, right?
Yeah.
And this alarm system, no matter how primitive, it must still work, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is, the problem here, I mean, using this analogy is a perfect example. The problem is, it is a primitive alarm. And this is not a robotic alarm system, it's a system of humans.
Yeah.
And this is where I feel the SAF and NS gets problematic. Because as an organization, there are a lot of things that they miss. And as an organization that is run on rank,
yes,
right? Excuse me. It's very difficult for someone from low to mid management to make certain decisions that matter.
Cause like,
not that they can't. I definitely have done a few things that I feel that make an impact. But as a rank system, right, I feel that there are still many things that I cannot even properly suggest.
Yeah, I mean, there's like a very clear hierarchical system. So okay, for the people who have not served NS, basically there's ranks, and uh, basically as a sergeant you're lower than an officer. Officer, they have the higher ups as well. Basically, you have no matter where you are, you will have a higher up lah, unless you're a chief of army.
Even chief of army
Yeah,
got higher up.
yeah, that's true. Okay, fine, fair enough. But like basically, there's a hierarchical system. Oh my god, such a difficult word to say. But they have the system where it's very difficult to bypass higher up to make a decision that you
Correct.
think will be better for the company, for your men, for your section, etc. You still have to go through the right way of the
chain of command.
Oh my god, chain of command. Yes, correct. That's the word. You have to go through the right chain of command to do it.
Correct.
And that causes a lot of red tape.
Correct. As a result of that, right, it creates what we call red tape.
Yeah, a lot of red tape.
Red tape causes inefficiencies.
Yes, I agree.
And unfortunately, as a result of those inefficiencies, there are certain things that NS will accidentally neglect, including the welfare of more special cases.
Yeah.
Right? The welfare of people with more special cases. And I think a very good example, which I think recently NS has been improving on, is cases of mental health.
Yes. I don't know whether it has been improving, but I think it is a little bit. But at the time when I was still a sergeant and I was still going through my whole anxiety episodes and anxiety phase or whatever you want to call it during NS, right?
Yeah.
It was pretty damn bad. I had a very, very bad experience in NS. And in fact,
why? What's the experience?
Like, so basically, without giving out too much, basically it's just I got anxiety and I got a lot of shit for it from my higher ups, and I've got a lot of shit from it from even my peers who are sergeants. Basically, there was a huge. I mean, sure, there were very nice people. There were very nice people who were like very supportive and who wanted me to be well and wanted me to genuinely be happy and healthy. But there was also a good amount of people who were just like people who say they want to strip me off my rank, even though you can't do that. They will say it to me, and like as a impressionable young 19-year-old boy at that point, right? Like I truly believed that was possible, and that hurt me, and that like really, really made me rethink the whole anxiety thing, and like made me feel very worthless because they say like, oh, I don't think you're suitable for the rank. I don't think you can hold that rank anymore, like because you have anxiety, and that messes someone up, especially if they are actually going through it. And there are also, I mean, that goes hand in hand with the whole toxic masculinity thing. Like basically, if you show any sign of weakness, show any sign of emotions, or if you basically detour away from the whole like, or NS just suck it up, or be a man, suck it up, do what the commanders ask you to do. As long as you deviate from that, right, and you complain, you have emotions, you're sad, you're immediately labeled as weak. You're immediately labeled as not a man. And that goes hand in hand with the whole mental health thing lah.
Okay, this one I never really experienced, but like I'm gonna have to say something here that will a little bit counter your point.
Yeah,
okay?
Go ahead. Yeah.
So for someone that has, let's say for like yourself, I mean you yourself is the best example. You say that you experience anxiety, correct?
Yeah.
So do you still think that you're fit to be a military leader?
I think I am. But I do.
Why?
Okay, because I feel like anxiety especially is not a mental health disorder where you are not functional. And there are I understand if like there are disorders like maybe DID, like dissociative identity disorder, and other more serious disorder like bipolar disorders or etc. that makes you basically dysfunctional, right? Like you cannot function properly as a human, not normal person, right? In those cases, I agree. Maybe you should take a step back in terms of leadership roles. But I feel like that shouldn't be the immediate place you go to. Because I was as a sergeant that was going through these problems, right? My immediate thought wasn't that I wanted to down PES. I didn't want to down PES. I didn't want to give up because I was like, I got my rank already, and I truly believe that I got my rank for a reason. I want to continue staying. But instead, when I wanted to continue staying, the proposition was no, it's either you don't receive the help that you need and continue staying with us, or if you want to take the MC and do whatever you want, right, you cannot stay with us. And I want to strip you of your rank. I feel like that's a very false dichotomy that they come up with. That's not being reasonable, lah, in my opinion. But I mean, on the I mean, on the flip side, like, I do understand that, like, there are a lot of people who king this kind of thing, and there's like, then the people in like higher ups will get very jaded because like they immediately think anyone that is trying to king depression or anxiety is like basically they just want to zao and they don't want to do any work and they are assholes and whatever. Like that's the immediate thought because there's like, unfortunately there are people who really are like that lah, who try to fake these illnesses, especially because you can't prove that they exist or don't exist. It's a very trust thing. So I understand that they are doubtful, and I'm sure that whatever now that I'm older and I have managed to think about the issue a bit more clearly, I'm sure whatever they said was not said in like with malice lah. I'm sure they wanted well for me, whatever. They weren't trying to hurt me, whatever. But I do think that if the first as a leader, if your first instinct is to not trust your men, right? I feel that's a problem. And I think that should be stopped. And I think that a reason why they don't immediately trust the man or sergeant or whatever, it can be officer also, who knows, is because they're not, they don't know enough to trust them. To them, depression is just sad lor. Then like, just stop being sad lor. The end, right? Stop. Like, be a man, stop being sad, don't think about it. But they don't understand inherently what does depression mean or what does anxiety mean. I think that's a big problem.
Yeah, I think what you mentioned here is quite an important point, and in that a lot of the NS leadership or middle management or lower management, they do not know how to identify a real mental illness case or a real situation whereby they ought to be giving care instead of trying to seek discipline. And I think this is a big problem because personally I experienced this quite a fair bit. Okay, I'm very lucky that I didn't make any bad calls from people, right? But I can tell you this, okay, as a platoon commander, I have definitely encountered my fair share of liars and malingerers.
Okay.
And I think it's super unfair to people who are actually in trouble. Because when the people who are actually in trouble come to me, right, I try my best to be open-minded, but there's already a bias in my mind. Right?
Yeah.
And you must understand that on the shoulders, like you mentioned, 19-year-old boy, on the shoulders of another 19-year-old boy, right, is that decision to call your bluff or not. So I don't think that there is I think there is a problem. But at the same time, right, you cannot blame your commanders for falling into this trap, unfortunately. What needs to change here is the way the organization does this. So on the other side of the question will be, okay, if we want our leadership to be able to teach and grow into better leaders in the military, what about extending NS?
When John brought this up
to train
off camera,
them.
Yeah, when John brought this up off camera, right, I was like, hell no. But he did bring out a good point. Like, if you want to train someone to like handle mental health and be good leaders, you have to send them to courses. And unfortunately, this takes time. And it's
exactly. So like I give you an example. You are a psychology student.
Yeah.
Right. So a psychology student can eventually work in psychiatric medicine.
Yes.
Correct?
Yeah.
So the thing about it is that for your degree, it took you 4 years.
Yeah.
Let's say we do a very condensed version, one quarter a time, 1 year. Are people willing to serve NS for 3.5 years?
No, definitely not.
And this is the problem, let me tell you, okay? And this is the problem.
Yeah.
When people don't understand the purpose of NS, they only see NS as a place that you go inside and essentially lose your freedom. But if you think about it, losing your individual freedoms for a short amount of time, or call it short, for a short amount of time,
Yeah.
okay, for the national security of the rest of your life, is it worth it?
I mean, if you put
I
it
think
that
it's
way,
absolutely worth it.
Yeah. I think people are not, they don't immediately go that route in terms of their thinking. It's also because like when you are a man, you see that there are so much shit going on, and you think to yourself like, whatever I did this week, right, could have been condensed in 1 day. You know, there are times that you inevitably think like that, and then you start thinking like, why is my NS 1 year and 10 months? If we cut out all the stupid waiting time, it can probably be 1.5 years, or even shorter.
Yeah, it definitely can.
Yeah.
But you must understand that the purpose of NS also, why it has to be a certain length, right, is because some of these training practices have to stick with you for the rest of your life. So we can definitely condense some of the things like maybe to a 1 week course.
Yeah.
Right? But if you tell any Singaporean male above 18 what is kekiri pusing,
left turn,
right? And what is IA, right?
Yeah.
What is unload, check, clear?
Yeah.
They will never forget.
Yeah, that's true. Because they're drilled lah.
Because it's drilled into you. And I think for an armed force to be effective, right, there are certain things that soldiers can never forget. Ought not to forget.
Yeah.
There are certain things that they have to retrain, that's fine. But at the bottom of it, right, we ought not to have forgotten, like for example, all the BMT things.
Yeah.
So here comes the other offer, right?
Yeah.
If let's say we say that we don't want our leadership to be poorly equipped, then let's abolish leadership during NS. Then everybody just serve BMT, right?
Yeah, like every NSS are not allowed in leadership positions. That's the other solution, right?
Yeah. Then that becomes problematic also. Because by right, NS, is for you to identify your potential military leaders.
Yes.
Your potential military minds.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
So if you don't use this to get the correct leadership into leadership positions, right, there will be a leadership gap.
Okay.
In every generation of the armed force. And in order to attract people, they will have to hire, right?
Yeah.
So when you do a hiring process, it's very difficult to screen the aptitude.
Because you don't know them prior to the
right,
hiring.
and then you and then when you put them in the leadership position, you still need to train them to be a leader.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, which is another additional risk that the armed force has to take.
Yeah, and like just thinking about it, like if there's no NSF leaders, like no PCs and no SecComs, and that just is filled by like full, like basically the people who sign on, right? There won't be enough people who sign on in the first place to fill those roles. So
that's the
logistically, it's just manpower wise, it's just not possible situation.
Once again, we come back to the initial question, right? If we agree that NS cannot be abolished,
yes,
and we want a more holistic leadership with NS being a good experience, then let's make NS 4 years.
Okay, I do think that, right, it is possible, right, to go through a 1 week course with the bare minimum, right, and will be able to equip you, not say to identify problems, and not say to be able to handle it like a champ, but at least to not mess it up. I think that's possible.
Right.
Like just if they just tell you like, hey, this is what anxiety people go through, here's what depression is, and this is what they go through, and they say, do not say these things to them. Just don't. Like, this is things don't do. Here is what you should do instead. Which is probably just refer them to a doctor, refer them to a psychiatrist, refer them to an IMO, and then they will know better because they're actually trained. I think that 1 week course can do a lot. And I feel like that should be compulsory. I don't know whether it is now. It's been a while since I've got to NS. people who are in NS, you can tell me below. But
yeah,
there's a lot that I feel like that can be done. And that also includes like, I feel, so recently there was this Martian news article, if I'm not wrong, talking about like this person who says that the people who have financial difficulties in NS are being overlooked by the system.
Yeah. This one I agree.
And I feel like it might be a unstoppable byproduct of being in a big system. Like the bigger the organization is, unfortunately, the more blanket a system will be, and unfortunately, the more blanket a system will be means that there will be people who don't really suit that system and who will fall between the cracks. So
Yeah,
I feel like that is one of the problems, and the financial struggles thing also might be a big problem that NS has not really addressed lah. But I think John off camera has said something along the lines of like, if you compare it to NS being the SAR-21, you don't throw away the SAR-21 or shorten the SAR-21 because there are small problems with the SAR-21. You go and fix it and you go and clean it.
Correct. So like I was just using that as an example because it, like for me personally, the biggest reason NS needs to exist is because it's a deterrence, right? So if we liken NS to owning a rifle, right? To owning a rifle, right? The rifle works well, it shoots well, it has stopped enemies from trying to come close to you, it has served its purpose, right? As a concept, this rifle is fantastic to own and fantastic to have and fantastic to know how to use. But here comes the problem, okay? For a weapon like this that shoots well, operates well, does its job, whatever, I feel that one of the things that we are neglecting is the maintenance and the cleaning of the internals of such a weapon. When you do not maintain the internals well, right? You have a higher chance of failure. And this is something that happens. You have a higher chance of missing certain things. And this is something that happens in the armed force. And this is where, where that ex-NS Clark brought up about some of the AWOL people being financially problematic, blah, blah, blah. As an organization, like you mentioned, with a lot of blanket and standard applications, it works most of the time. But you miss out some of these important people.
Yeah.
And that is the biggest problem with the internal mechanisms of NS, right? For a system that runs on rank, for example, right? A lot of people are forced into the position that they are, right? Because of a seemingly insurmountable mountain.
Yeah.
And if these people don't understand the function of what they are doing, right? And they do not see the system help them with their real outside life problems, right?
Yeah.
These people will wind up hating NS.
Yeah, I mean, you don't blame them.
I don't blame them, but at the same time, I feel that at this point, okay, if nothing changes about the armed force, right?
Yeah.
It's an inevitability.
What do you mean?
Because the system is just that flawed, law. It's very inevitable that these people fall through the cracks.
Do you feel like there's a way to change this? Because I feel like
I definitely think there is a way to change this.
Okay,
there
so
definitely is a way to change this. Okay, and I think the first way, okay, in order to change this, okay, is to make everybody from start of their life, right, understand the importance of NS.
Okay.
And this is a failing policy. I hate to say this, but I feel it's a failing policy. Why? The only people who are willing to sign on as regulars are people who are eyeing the scholarship.
I mean, not everyone.
People are not necessarily. No, a lot of people sign on to finance their education.
Yeah.
A lot of people sign on for the 6 year contract for just a bit of good starting pay.
Yeah.
This is the very layman on the street what they say, right?
Yeah.
In fact, I'm pretty sure most men can testify for this. They have heard this.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And people who want to take SAS scholarship, they take the most prestigious.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And these people will be scouted for higher positions and for very, very senior leadership positions in the military and hence will be a bit blinded to what the ground used to be like,
Okay.
even though they were there during BMT, OCS. And this is where it gets problematic, lor. Because you see, right, the intelligent people that are not the scholar, book smart intelligent are not super interested to join the organization.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So your middle management are full of career soldiers that understand NS but are more for their self-sustenance when they're in that position. To them, it's just a job.
Okay.
Right? To them, a lot of people, I'm pretty sure you all have experienced this. You all have one or two of your regular friends, one or two of your regulars when you're serving NS that is inside. Obviously, they're not interested in NS one. They're just there to finish the month. And I'm sure once I say this, you all have a picture in your head. And the fact that every single NSF have a picture of someone that's like that in their head, right? That goes to show how numerous it is. Right? And these people might have initially gone into NS with a good understanding that they want to help the country and blah, 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 blah. And as a result, I want to become a career soldier. But a lot of times, right, it's these kind of cracks in the system also that beat these people in the submission, and eventually they just want to, as some of the inchecks would say, which is when you get your NSP. I don't know if it's still zap hall.
I get what I mean.
Then how? You know? And then in a system that cannot even cover this angle, who are you to talk? Who are we? To talk about all the other more soft issues?
That's true.
Like identifying who has financial problem, right? And then the NS Club brought an even better point, because the fact that there is a NSF, SAF like financial aid system that is put in place, but the problem is you start that chain and then you wait 4 million years, you never finish, you never reach.
It's true.
The hoops you need to jump through so numerous.
I mean, even for like mental health, right? Like, to get to the point where I was able to down PES and get to the point where I was like, certified as like, okay, you have anxiety and we want you to like get medication and get help, right? To get to that point, I think took me a good 3 months. And
yeah, which is way too long, right?
Which is crazy, which is mad. Like and like it's lucky that I was not suicidal. I did not have suicidal tendencies or thoughts. But I just imagine if you are someone who's depressed and like you want to commit suicide, and then you go through the chain of command like they always encourage you to do, and then you have to wait 3 months to get to where you want to get, right? That is like way too long, man. That is just crazy.
Let me just commend you for following the chain of command, because the thing about it is that should be every soldier's duty to follow the chain of command. So that is the right thing to do.
Of course.
But what failed here is that the system has failed you here.
Yeah.
SAF as an organization, right, did not cover these particular soldiers' needs. Right?
Yeah.
And herein lies another problem when we talk about chain of command, right? Everybody and their father and their brother who has been who served NS before.
Yeah.
Very clearly understands that actually a lot of times the organization does put effort to bring the top leadership to try to understand everyone's problem. But SAF is also an organization that a lot of the middle management care about is their appearance and their next bonus. How many times have we heard this? Hey, we must win best unit. Hey, CO visit, you all better go and clean up now. Then the rest of the times, close one eye. I understand that, you have to be human, when you do this kind of thing. That's fair.
Yeah.
But there's obviously something wrong here, right? Everyone ought to always be best unit, right? Not best in that moment, what?
I feel like a lot of NSFs
no need to only wayang because the CO come, what? Right?
Yeah.
I know this is crazy. As an NSF, right, I also thought about this. I'm like, wow, shit. Shook, you close one eye, not my problem. But then, wow, suddenly CO come, you back up. So I also subscribe to this thinking. But now that I'm out of it, I think to myself, how? And this is exactly what I'm talking about when I was drawing the example about the rifle just now.
Yeah.
It's all these things. We don't want to clean. Wait for the CEO about to count, then you fast game. It's like when we want to book out, then suddenly we freaking clean like siao.
Yeah. I agree.
Right?
I agree.
And this is a very clear-cut sign that there are certain disciplines that are not drilled into people. One.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
There is a way to make
Yeah.
this much better and makes this much more efficient and make everyone's mindset correct.
which is, do you know?
Do more.
Do
Which is
more.
extend NS, do more.
Oof, doesn't sit well with me, man. I'm not gonna lie. I hear you.
It doesn't sit well with anyone.
sit
To be
well with
honest,
me.
if you ask me, right, it doesn't sit well with anyone. Okay,
Yeah.
especially going into a system that I have to be part of, right? I definitely don't like the thought of it.
Yeah.
But if you ask me to think logically, right, on how we want to maintain a good force, on how we want to make sure this culture is drilled into you long term,
Yeah.
then 2 years is not enough time.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at like let's say we talk South Korea. I mean, they have a longer time than 2 years, if I'm not wrong. I think it's 2.5 years or 3 years. I mean, they have a more pressing need because, I mean, they have their whole tension in North Korea as well. Yeah, they're at war like constantly.
Yeah,
So
they're at war. Yeah.
yeah. So maybe it's not a very fair comparison, but I guess it's a good way to like think about it. 2 years is, I guess, now that you think of it that way, a little bit short. Especially if you're trying to train soldiers who are supposed to be able to eventually fight wars. And but you know, something just doesn't sit right with me if you tell me like NS is going to extend 3 years. And yeah.
But you see, this is where also another problem, because everyone is just thinking of NS as a place that we go inside and suffer, and then the longer it is, the more painful it is, without understanding why we even have NS. Right? Everyone is just interested in their own personal self-interest, which is fine.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But if Singapore goes to war tomorrow, they also expect the soldier to protect them. How can you have these two things? Right? So this is where it gets problematic. So one solution that actually I feel that is a little bit more productive in the discussion, but it's not the be all and all, is that military leadership do longer service. Because they need to learn more, they need to understand more. And that is why by default, my reservist dates, my redeployable years are longer than, as a military leader, are longer than the men.
Yeah.
Right?
As
Which I understand.
Well.
Yeah, I totally understand. But the problem is, I feel that, right, this is where, as a system, NS has to come back to its roots of being consistent. Right? If you do this, who want to be leader?
Yeah. That's
right?
why
if our
don't want
Singapore
to be
current
officers.
mindset stays the same, right?
Yeah.
Who wants to be a soldier? No one.
No one. Zero.
Right?
Yeah.
Because we live in peacetime. We have, I mean, it's not that long ago, but we have forgotten what it's like to be invaded. And we as a generation has not experienced military tension. And we have to count our blessings for that. And these blessings was built on the backs of the soldiers who were trained and the soldiers we didn't have and the citizens who died during the invasion. So to say that, right, to prevent Japanese invasion of 3 years plus, right? 3 years plus, right? Japanese invasion, right?
Yeah. I think
Shouldn't
so,
NS be longer than the invasion time to be fully prepared? Right? And this is where logically I feel that what we need to train here is not just the soldiers, but every Singaporean to have the right mindset about NS. I'm pretty sure if you ask a large enough sample of men, right, in Singapore who have served NS, there'll be a good number that will tell you, Singapore go to war, I don't want to fight.
Yeah.
Right? But like, what is the reason, right? If you ask them why, right, a lot of times they don't really have an answer. They just don't want. They feel that it's not worth it, blah, 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 blah. Even though everyone who is a member of this society enjoys this national security that that NS provides.
Yeah.
We must teach our children, our men, our boys,
Yeah.
right, how important NS is and how serious it can be. How serious it can be in the sense that if shit hits the fan,
Yeah.
we must be willing to die for our country. And if we put this into perspective like that, we are willing to die for our country, then no training is too tough. No system is too difficult to overcome, right? But okay, that should be the groundwork, but it shouldn't be the only motivator for people to serve NS. If the space that you go into to train is not conducive, right, you're not gonna create the best soldiers. And this is the problem that I feel that we need to target. Right? First things first is once we're able to get everyone's mindset correct about NS, the next thing is how we treat our soldiers and how we treat these people who don't necessarily share the same idealism about NS. Right? This is important.
Correct. Yeah.
Because
exactly.
the fact that it's conscript, right? It means that as a citizen, I surrender some of my freedoms to ensure that this country is protected. But what happens is I am now part of the protection. Right?
Yeah.
There ought to be more systems put in place to take care of these people that are being trained to be the alarm system, to be the gun, to be the soldier. But right now, this is something that is lacking. Why? Okay, why is very clear. Because peacetime, everyone is just whiling their time away. If tomorrow war, I tell you, if tomorrow go to war, let's say, right? That's wood. Tomorrow go to war.
Yeah.
I will tell you that the SAF will be the most efficient thing in the whole country.
To be honest, I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that. I mean, it is a bit hard for people to imagine. It's like asking people like, oh my god, we have to be prepared for a pandemic. We have to do all this, we have to be prepared for a pandemic while there's no pandemic. And then they'll be like, do we really need to? Not really. There's not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. Look at other countries, they are like chilling. But then when the pandemic happens, then we're like, oh shit, should have done more.
Yeah. And that's why like I feel that this is instead of like what the SAF can try to do, what a system, NS can try to do is instead of trying to play catch up to problems as they appear.
Yes.
Right. Is that they ought to do more to be deterrent about these kind of things too. So like for example, mental health misdiagnosis.
Yes.
Right? Can be prevented.
Definitely.
Right? AWOL people who are AWOLing because of financial issues that don't get addressed, even though they may initially start out as good soldiers. Right? These people fall through the cracks. It's definitely preventable.
Yeah. And I think they need to pay a bit more attention to it. Maybe remove a bit of the red tape. Remove like in between admin stuff.
No, maybe not remove, but make the system to identify these people a little bit more robust, to sieve out the abusers of the system, and to provide need to those that actually need it.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, okay, to be fair, we have been out of NS for a very long time. I mean, John has been out for a while, and I've been out for like 2 years or maybe 3 years. So maybe in that time, things have improved a little bit. And I do know for the mental health
I hope they
side,
have.
I really hope you have.
I hope they have lah.
But I do think that I do know for the mental health side, in my G1 branch in HQ Thought Division, we have a psychologist that's actually in the branch. So she's in charge of dealing with the psychology side of the workings of the division. So that's, I think, a good step forward. And I'm not sure how is it like now. I really, really hope it's a lot better. But maybe just cutting out a little bit of making it more efficient and making it a bit more proactive. That will be a very good way of solving some of the I won't say small problems, but the problems within NS that will detract away from the whole experience, but are not necessarily reasons to abolish it. You get what I mean?
Yeah, but at the same time, you must understand on the topic of efficiency, right? The fact that NS is a very human system is something that will result in inefficiencies. Not every person functions at the same level, unfortunately. And a rank system works very well when everything is chaos, which is wartime.
Yeah.
But that being said, I agree that personally, I feel that NS has definitely been improving in how they deal with mental health issues and all sorts of other more atypical issues
Okay.
in the people that are conscripted.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They are definitely improving.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it took a few case studies for them to improve.
Yes.
When it ought to be something else, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I feel that, like, coming back to the original topic of whether NS should be abolished, right? My answer will still firmly be no. But like I mentioned earlier, we really, really ought to change the way we maintain our rifle lah, essentially. The way we clean the insides of our system.
Yeah.
Because right now, right, like I mentioned, in principle on outside everything works well. But inside is messy, inside is not so good, and who suffers, right?
Yeah.
Is the people that are inside. And I don't think NS should be a place whereby everyone dread entering. No.
Yes.
Right? Training is tough. Which kind of training is not tough? Honestly, if you can spend a whole lot of money to go and get a gym subscription, you go inside and do tough training, right? Training is tough.
Yeah.
But a lot of the times, why people are creating memes about NS, why people are jaded about NS, why people are not interested about NS, and why people want to abolish NS, it's not because training is tough.
Because they don't understand why.
No, it's because training in an organization that is messy like this is extra tough.
Okay.
Where you give up personal freedoms, but it feels like the system sometimes don't reciprocate that. Then it becomes extra tough.
Maybe it's just they don't feel taken care of by the system.
That could be one thing.
I mean, like, through this conversation, I do realize that, like, we always mention a problem, but then when we think a little bit more about it, about how to solve it, we always meet with road bumps and, like, problems that stop us from, like, going like, hey, this is the way it should be going. Like, for example, the whole mental health thing, like, we ideally want our leaders to be well equipped, but are the leaders willing to extend their service to do that? Probably not. So that's another problem that we have to solve. But I mean, I do think that now that there's only 10 minutes left in this episode, I do think that, like, it's a good place to start by, like, raising these issues. And I think the NSF Club, I'm going to leave, we have the link down below as well. The people like this who are raising issues, or even like meme death, talking about deaths in the army, talking about mental health issues, talking about, like, officers who are abusing their power, etc. All these small problems that are, like, causing people to lose trust in the system and lose trust in the organization, right? The more we talk about it, and the more they solve it, right, the better the whole experience will be for the future generation. So we don't really know how is it like now. We hope it's better, but if you guys have any experiences in NS or any solutions that you guys think that should be implemented, you can go ahead and leave it down in the comment section below. But
and at the same time, right, I feel that, you know, if you are watching this, I think if you're able to contribute to this discussion, to bring out some of the problems that you have encountered, or to even correct one of us, that's fine.
Yes.
We want to have an intellectual discussion about this because we understand that every Singaporean son has to go through this system, has to go through national service, whether they get it or not.
Yes.
And that's why I feel that people ought to get it first, then they serve NS.
Yeah.
What do y'all think? You know, leave it in the comments. What do you think?
That's right. And with that, why don't we just end this episode right now? I think we talked about a lot to think about, and hopefully got some things that for you to think about as well from both sides of the story, like not just the abolished NS side, which is very easy to hear, but also from the side of, like, you know, maybe NS should be here, and maybe the things that we think are problems are not so easy to solve. So we hope they give you guys both sides of the story, and so you guys can form a better opinion.
But we definitely shouldn't be, but what we're saying is we definitely shouldn't be doing nothing. So those of you that are currently in NS, please think about how to solve it.
Yeah, these problems, especially if you're a leader, right? Like the whole mental health thing, the financial struggles thing, try to look out a bit more for your men.
And those of you that are talking, stop it. Do you know what you're doing? When you're talking, right, you make it difficult for your commanders to identify the people who are actually suffering.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. But
Hui.
Yes.
Basically, don't be a malingerer. Okay, don't talking.
Yeah, just
why NS is important. And if you don't realize it, but when you're talking, you sabo people with the real problems.
Yep. And with that, we have come to the end of today's episode. Thank you guys so much. Follow us on Instagram, subscribe, and leave a comment down below if you have any opinions.
Yeah, man. Share this video with your friends. Share this video with your
That's
friends.
right.
And follow me on Instagram. Me.
Follow him. Sure. I'm
I don't know
cool.
which
You can only
direction
follow
he is, but don't follow him. Follow me. Follow me.
me.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Bye.